Donald Trump is a street fighter. You do not come into the ring with him with gloves, looking for a referee to stop every 3 minutes rest. No, this is a street fight. You come in with a broke bottle and an ash can because it's going to be that kind of battle.
Broken bottle, ash can. The Reverend Al Charlatan, he's a man of the cloth, a man of the church. No, he's not. He's a racist leftist and a $1 million journalist at NBC News. He's the Reverend Al Charlatan. I think Tawana Brawley's in the trunk of his car today. Little cat scratch fever. Oh, what a time it is. Robert De Niro has thrown himself on the funeral pyre of American injustice. Actors are not known for being bright. Never have been. The Democrats in a panic. More than one panic, I think. It's quite mad. And today is Mailbag Day. I think I didn't even mention in the last hour that today is Mailbag Day. It is Wednesday. And Wednesday is a big day in America. Certainly in the Bill and Hillary Clinton household, it's a big day because Wednesday is the day on which Hillary Clinton wakes up face down in a pool of her own dried vomit on the linoleum kitchen floor with an empty 1-gallon cardboard box of cheap New Zealand Chardonnay next to her and the Secret Service. Arms akimbo, tisking, once again, so sad, what might have been. Poor Hillary Clinton, so sad. She thought she was going to be president of the United States. I saw Democrats on the cable television yesterday complaining that it was stolen from her, and Hillary Clinton complaining that the presidency in 2016 was stolen from her and that women turned on her. She's complaining that women turned on her. Just amazing stuff. They haven't turned on Bill, though, interestingly enough. Depending on how you define those terms, some women turn on Bill, but that's another discussion for another time. And Hillary Clinton, very angry, did an interview with the New York Times. Perhaps you've heard of it. It's a terribly corrupt, filthy imitation of a newspaper. In New York City, they named Times Square in New York after the New York Times. It's a terrible thing. But Hillary Clinton has a new book coming out. And so she did an interview with the New York Times. And talking to the New York Times, she insisted that FBI Director James Comey back then turned women against her because he talked about her handling of classified emails, classified documents. And James Comey said that her handling of classified documents had been extremely careless. She destroyed 33,000 emails with bleach bit and ordered her staffers to get hammers and smash all their BlackBerries in order to destroy the hard drives, inside the BlackBerries, to destroy the evidence. And all of that evidence was under subpoena by the United States Congress. But somehow James Comey said no, but nobody would charge her with any crimes. I would have charged her with crimes. You can't say nobody because I would have. Pretty amazing stuff. But Hillary Clinton said that James Comey turned women against her, and now she's blaming women for her loss to Donald Trump in 2016, which is pretty demented, but it's more or less what I'd expect from her. She's a demented person. And also, coming up soon, Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton will be coming to the Washington area. They still own a multi-million-dollar mansion very close to the Obamas' multi-million-dollar mansion, both off of Embassy Row, Massachusetts Avenue, Gesundheit. The Obama mansion is in the shadow of the main mosque in Washington, D.C. Barack Obama once famously said that the most beautiful sound he had ever heard was the call to prayer at a mosque. And of course, his father out of Kenya, Muslim man, and then his stepfather, Sotero, he was a Muslim too, but I think not very practicing Muslim. More importantly, Barack Obama's mentor, Frank Marshall Davis, was a card-carrying member of the Communist Party, and that explains a lot more. But back to Hillary Clinton, because, she's coming to town. to do a fundraiser for Joe Biden at the home of Terry McAuliffe. Terry McAuliffe is an election denier. He's an election denier from the 2000 election and the 2004 election. He was the chair of the Democratic National Committee. As DNC chair, he fought hammer and sickle against their defeats in the year 2000 and in the year 2004. You know, the Democrats have denied every presidential election in the 21st century that they didn't win. They lost 2000, they lost 2004, they denied, they combated, they took all the way to the Supreme Court in 2000. They still deny. Terry McAuliffe then became the Democrat governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia. And now, because he's a modest man of the people, he's got a big mansion in Virginia. And Bill and Hillary Clinton are going to go there for a fundraiser for Joe Biden. And Joe Biden is expected to be there. Now, if you're on the Secret Service protective detail for Joe Biden and you're going to be there, you need to listen to me now. Don't let Hillary Clinton get near Joe Biden if there is a staircase nearby, if there's an open window nearby, because Hillary Clinton still thinks that she can be president, and she is a grave danger to Joseph Robinette Biden. Don't let Hillary, if you can do what you want, of course, but if you really like Joe Biden, because Hillary, she's not done. She's never done with any of this.
Once again, going back to the familiar experience of losing.
Yeah, she's a terrible, terrible person. Yeah, but they're coming to have a big fundraiser for Joe Biden at Terry McAuliffe's house. It's going to be a great big circle fest in a hot tub. And Joe Biden, it's like, Vito Corleone explaining to Michael Corleone, and at that meeting, you will be assassinated. They got to keep a close eye on Hillary at that fundraiser at McAuliffe's house. Not a very public place. Big house, big, long, steep staircases, old house. You got to look out. Very dangerous, very dangerous. But Hillary Clinton, talking to the New York Times, being fluffed by the New York Times, said, once he did that to me, she's talking about James Comey turning women against her by saying that her handling of classified documents was extremely careless. It was actually extremely felonious. She destroyed 33,000 emails that had been subpoenaed by the Congress as part of an investigation. But when you're a Democrat, you know, filthy corruption is a way of life, and you're very comfortable with it. But she said that once he did that to me, the people, the voters who left me were women. That's what she told the New York Times. They left me because they just couldn't take a risk on me because as a woman, I'm supposed to be perfect. Well, I guess you failed that test from day one, huh? You're awfully far from perfect. Perfect is not a word that you should use. It shouldn't be in your lexicon. She said they were willing to take a risk on Trump, who had a long list of, let's call them flaws, to illustrate his imperfection, because he was a man and they could envision a man as president and commander-in-chief. That's what Hillary told the New York Times. It's in her new book. Now you don't have to buy the book because that's the whole thing. That's it right there. Nothing about the Energizer Bunny showing up on Wednesdays when Bill Clinton, tells her to stay out of the house because it's hump day in the Clinton household. Amazing stuff. And don't think that she's done. She's not done. I mean, she's not as old as Joe Biden, right? So now the new benchmark when it comes to age is Joe Biden, and she's not nearly as dumb as Joe Biden. She's dangerous. Joe Biden is dangerous for perhaps different reasons, but they're both dangerous. They're not on our side. Yeah, so the Bill and Hillary doing a fundraiser for Joe Biden on June 18th at Terry McAuliffe's big house. That's going on there. We did this story on my Newsmax show last night as well, 10 p.m. Eastern. That'd be 7 p.m. on the West Coast, just in case any Democrats are listening. Remarkable stuff. So we got that going on. Now, why is Joe Biden? Why are the Democrats so panicked? Why and they become more dangerous. The left is more dangerous. They're burning embassies in Mexico City and in Istanbul. The Israeli embassies. The Democrats, they've even created a situation where even Democrat Jews hate the Jews. It's kind of crazy. How did they do that? I don't know how they did that. But there is a new poll by an organization called Civics, but it's you can't just be Civics, so it's CIVIQS, because illiteracy is the order of the day. I saw that Charlemagne, the misspelled God on the television today, blathering. I don't know why anybody takes that guy seriously. He hasn't really contributed anything worth noticing. Charlemagne, he spells it T-H-A, Charlemagne the. That's why I always call him Charlemagne the misspelled God, because he misspells the, because Democrats want another generation of illiterate dimwits. They know that those are reliable Democrat Party voters, right? But Civics, they've got a poll. Listen to this stuff. It's crazy. More voters approve of Biden than disapprove of Joe Biden in only 4 states. All right? We have, Democrats might be listening, we have 50 states. And the District of Columbia. I live in the District of Columbia, where, the grocery store in my neighborhood, they now have a big sign when you walk in, says you're not allowed to come in with luggage. You're not allowed to come in with luggage or big bags anymore, and they have the dimensions of the bags, because Democrats keep coming in and filling up rolling bags and stealing everything and walking out and threatening the security people. Democrats, I think, are criminals. Are they synonymous at this point? I mean, if you're a Democrat, you're the people looting the grocery stores, and there are new rules. It's the giant grocery stores in Washington, D.C., big signs at the front door. You're not allowed to bring in rolling bags, luggage like you might travel, get on an airplane with. Democrats walk into grocery stores with those. They fill them up, and then they just walk out without bothering to pay, go to the cash registers, because Democrats like stealing and looting. And the police, they explain that they're all Democrats. But now back to the poll here. Joe Biden has an approval rating that is higher than his disapproval rating in only 4 states. Vermont, that's Bernie Sanders, commies, right? Massachusetts, that's Harvard, Jew haters. Maryland, I think they just legalized pot. That might explain it. And Hawaii, where everybody smokes pot all day, every day. It's a big thing for them. So those are the 4 states. Hawaii, Maryland, Massachusetts, and Vermont are the only 4 states in the country where Joe Biden's approval rating is, they like to say, not underwater, like Mary Jo Kopechne, because and then Ted Kennedy went to brunch with friends. That's what he did. So, and Massachusetts is where Senator Ted Kennedy, a Democrat, drowned Mary Jo Kopechne, and then he went to brunch with friends, and then it had somebody buy him a neck brace so he could fake that he was injured and all that stuff, but never mind that. So Joe is also in all 7 swing states. There are 7 swing states in the United States of America, very important to people that follow these numbers and crunch them and stuff. Listen to this now. Joe Biden's net approval rating is underwater in all 7 swing states. In Wisconsin, he is -10. In Michigan, he is -24. In Pennsylvania, he is -25. In North Carolina, he's -20. In Georgia, he's -27. In Arizona, -32. And in Nevada, Joe Biden is -28 percentage points. That means they're in deep. And that means their only chance is to try to put Donald Trump in prison, just like in third world countries. Ungala, bungala. Just amazing. You're a Democrat Party. And those numbers from Civics, misspelled, because they love misspelling things. Remarkable stuff. Just like Charlemagne, the misspelled God. Amazing stuff. So that's why the Democrats are in a gender panic. Gender dysphoria is one of their things. And there's more on that coming up as well. They've got to get Trump. It's their only hope. And they're pulling out all the stops by any means necessary, by hook or by crook, by hammer and sickle. Not just tong anymore, but sickle. A recent study reports that the rapidly declining global birth rate will lead to a major population crisis if birth rates continue to decline the way they are now. While we may feel hopeless in the constant attack on human life in the United States, there is an amazing way to fight back. When they shout abortion, we shout life. We're pro-life. They're pro-death. Preborn is a great organization leading the way. Every day, Preborn's network rescues 200 unborn babies. When a mother sees her baby in an ultrasound and hears the heartbeat, it changes everything. It doubles the baby's chance at a long and happy life. The ultrasound is a secret weapon that joins the heart of the mother with her child. Preborn provides ultrasounds for clinics in the highest abortion areas in the United States of America. And, we can join hands nationwide for life, can't we? One ultrasound is just $28, but any gift will help. $5, $10. $5,000 will underwrite ultrasounds for the entire network across the entire country for a full day. And all your gifts are tax deductible, of course, but whether you have $5 or $5,000, all you have to do to donate is dial pound 250 on your phone. Dial pound 250, you know how this works. And then when prompted, say the keyword baby. That's pound 250 on your phone. Or you can visit online, of course, preborn.com/plant. That's me. Go to preborn.com/PLANTE. Start saving lives. That's good stuff. Be on the side of good. Yeah, so these poll numbers, they're in a panic. They already don't know what their gender is. Got a Supreme Court justice that doesn't know what a woman is. Amazing stuff. And we are at 888-630-9625. Democrats going for the black vote today, but nobody else's.
You're listening to The Chris Plant Show.
Must be Democrats in Chicago. Yeah, over the weekend, it was a 3-day weekend. 9 people murdered. 29 more shot in Chicago over the weekend. You know why, don't you? Democrats. Democrats is the short answer. Tell you what, Jeff, let's take another phone call. In the mailbag, we're going to get to the mailbag coming up as well. Right now, let's go to Jay calling from Arlington, Virginia. You can call me Jay. Jay, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Good morning, Chris. You probably heard this is Jay. A number of people have suggested the most likely outcome for former President Trump is to be found guilty of at least one count of 34, but that would be overturned on appeal. I think the worst thing that could happen to the former president is that, and then President Biden pardons him on his way out. That would provide Biden with cover to pardon Hunter and to be a martyr and step down from the presidency.
Oh, I like it. You're thinking way ahead. I love the way you're thinking. I'm gonna mull that.
This is the Chris Plant Show.
Ah, yes. Madness in New York. It's always madness in New York, but today more than usual. And Robert De Niro decided to engage in political self-immolation. Democrats are making self-immolation trendy again. And Robert De Niro, I liked him in... He was good in Taxi Driver, Travis Bickle and all that. He's a lot of crime movies, a lot of shooting and torture, killings and things like that. Pretty good actor. He played Jake LaMotta in Raging Bull, which brings us back to the front page of the New York Post today with Raging Bull beep. That's their headline there with a picture of Robert De Niro wagging his finger at somebody and yelling like a crazy old SOB. Nutty times. And the jury is allegedly deliberating, and being threatened by the New York Times because they're not on the side of civilization, but the left is here. And Kenneth P. Vogel at the New York Times threatening members of the jury should they not come down with a guilty verdict, and threatening any single juror that should hold out and lead to a hung jury A hung jury. The New York Times threatening, we'll ruin your life. We will destroy your... The New York stinking, filthy, rotten, corrupt Times don't believe a single word they lie to you. They're the New York Times. And Kenneth P. Vogel, a Washington-based correspondent, threatening the jurors, probably from the comfort of his Georgetown lair. It's a lair, you know. That's amazing stuff. Now, it is Mailbag Day because it's Wednesday, and again, Hillary Clinton waking up face down in a pool of her own dried vomit with an empty 1-gallon cardboard box of cheap New Zealand Chardonnay next to her, as is custom on Wednesdays. And Bill Clinton wants her out of the house early because it's hump day. Hump day in the Clinton household. Got to get out. But with that said, let's get to the mailbag. Every Wednesday, T-Jack has contacted us. Can they really bar Trump from the election if convicted? That is a great question, a wonderful question. There are Democrats that say yes. There are legal scholars that say no. But the Democrats are marshaling the cannons and gathering around Fort Sumter again, kind of like the last time around. They want to, we actually got a little audio today for you because Joe Biden is drumming up the black vote and bringing out Kamala. Don't see Kamala out there very much, but they're trotting her out now because she's a WOC, a woman of color, you know. But can they really bar Trump from election if convicted? CBS News headline from today, from this morning at 9:15 a.m. What happens if Trump is convicted in New York? ? No one can really say. That's CBS News. No one can really say. When the judge overseeing the Donald Trump criminal trial found May 6th that Trump had violated a gag order for a 10th time, a probably illegal gag order on a candidate running for president and an American citizen with rights, but never mind that. He told him that the last thing I want to do is put you in jail. That's what the judge said. He's a crooked judge, a Democrat judge. You're the former president of the United States and possibly the next president as well, said Justice Juan Merchan, reflecting on the momentous weight of such a decision. Now, whether the Republican Party presumptive nominee for president is a choice that Merchan may soon face again if jurors in Trump's hush money case vote to convict him and they're being threatened by the New York Times. If you don't convict him, then they're going to ruin your life. They're going to destroy you. They're going to lay waste to your neighborhood like you're Jews or something, like you're the home of the Jewish embassy. Closing arguments began Tuesday with jury deliberations to follow. Now, CBS News, it's already this morning. They're not caught up at CBS News. And what happens now? Can they keep him if he's, because really what they want to do is tag him with the label convicted felon. And they've already explained, I talked about this yesterday, I believe, they've already explained, the Democrats and the White House, that Joe Biden plans to address the nation from the White House about the jury's decision, which is more jury tampering by Biden and the White House and the Democrats, pressuring them because, Joe Biden doesn't want to have to come out and say he's found not guilty by all 12 jurors on have to be unanimous decisions on each of the 34 counts, right? But the pressure is on the jury, and they know they've got to be a lynch mob or there's going to be a Democrat Party lynch mob loosed on them. And the New York Times made that abundantly clear today with their crooked fake reporter, Kenneth P. Vogel, who should be the subject of an FBI pre-dawn raid, but probably won't be because, the FBI and the Justice Department under that crook that Joe Biden made Attorney General. And everybody's asking, Rolling Stone magazine, what happens if Trump is convicted? Could he face jail time? And one of them points out, I think CBS News points out, and I've pointed it out many times, The former president is entitled to Secret Service protection for the rest of his life. And if the Democrat lynch mob should throw him in prison, he's still entitled to Secret Service protection in prison. So the Secret Service goes to prison to protect the former president of the United States. By the way, kind of an important and fun point to take into account, that if the left does successfully convict and jail President Trump, it wouldn't be the first time that a world leader was thrown in prison by a corrupt government, by a corrupt regime. It's happened many times before. For example, in Poland, the Soviet regime threw Lech Walesa in jail. Lech Walesa was in prison. I met Lech at Ronald Reagan's funeral at the National Cathedral in Washington and spoke to him, had a nice conversation with Lech Walesa. But he was thrown in prison by a corrupt Soviet regime, right? And then later became the president of Poland and a very important world leader. Let's not stop there, though. Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela. I never met Nelson Mandela. I've been in the same room as Nelson Mandela, and I was in Nelson Mandela's jail cell at Robben Island in South Africa. In fact, I mentioned my rock collection earlier. I have a rock. Part of my rock collection was a piece of the wall from Nelson Mandela's jail cell on Robben Island in South Africa. But Nelson Mandela was in jail for many years in South Africa. He was something of a terrorist, it should be noted. But he was thrown in prison after being convicted of crimes by courts there. And he was in prison and then became president of South Africa. Lech Walesa thrown in prison by the Soviet apparatchiks and then became president. Mahatma Gandhi was thrown in prison in India by the colonialists regime there, pro-colonialist regime. And Mahatma Gandhi went on to become Mahatma Gandhi, Mahatma Stinkin' Gandhi. And I say that advisedly. Martin Luther King, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., was arrested 29 times and was thrown in jail. His famous letter from a Birmingham jail. He didn't go on to become president of the United States, but that's because a Democrat shot and killed him, because the man that killed him, of course, James Earl Ray, was a volunteer for the George Wallace presidential campaign, who was a Democrat governor from Georgia. But never mind that. Yes, sir. Also, just as an aside, there was a kind of amusing moment at the White House briefing yesterday with Cringe. You know, Cringe on Pierre. And Cringe on Pierre was asked by Peter Doocy, naturally, Fox News. You know, they won't go to James Rosen of Newsmax because they're fascists. That's the thing about them. They're left-wing fascists, and that's where you find most of your fascists. You know, Adolf Hitler's party was a Socialist Workers' Party of Germany, the Socialist Workers' Party of Germany. But Cringe was asked yesterday, has Joe Biden met his 7th grandchild, whose name is Navy Joan Roberts? And she refused to answer the question. We're going to have to waterboard her. When the new regime comes in, it's waterboarding. It's Gitmo for her. Waterboarding in prison, I think maybe in Robben Island. Like that. But, so if Donald Trump is thrown in jail by a corrupt regime, the left in the United States of America, it wouldn't be the first time that a corrupt regime corruptly and dishonestly and illegitimately threw a leader into jail. Look at Nelson Mandela, Lech Walesa, Mahatma Gandhi, and Martin Luther King, arrested time and again. And, Sheriff Bull Connor with the dogs and the fire hoses, an elected Democrat and a statewide leader of the Democrat Party. Governor George Wallace, an elected Democrat, statewide leader of the Democrat Party. The list goes on and on. Honestly. Standing in schoolhouse doors, Governor Orville Faubus in Arkansas, a Democrat, and obviously the leader of the Democrat Party in Arkansas, and a hero of Bill Clinton's. But never mind that. So that's kind of good, important stuff. This came up during our breakfast conversation at home with my best girl. My best girl said, Nelson Mandela was thrown in jail. She said Lech Walesa was thrown in jail. Yeah, that's all true. That's good stuff. That's why she's the best girl. Well, one reason anyway. Good stuff. So, the BBC is covering it. Trump trial jurors have these 3 options while deliberating. And, of course, it's guilty, not guilty, or hung jury on each of the 34 counts. The Democrats are counting their chickens. Come home to roost. Remember Barack Obama's spiritual guidepost, the Reverend Jeremiah Wright, about the attacks of September 11th, 2001. Radical Islamic jihadis murdering thousands of Americans. I was at the Pentagon that day. Saw the explosion as I was pulling into North Parking, heading to my office that day. But, and Barack Obama's spiritual guidepost, the Reverend Jeremiah Wright, a racist and anti-American, an anti-Semite also, says the Jews wouldn't let Barack meet with him. That's what his spiritual guidepost said. And his summation of September 11th was, it was America's chickens coming home to roost. And his congregation cheered wildly and then went and looted the CVS. I think it was a Walgreens, actually. It's Chicago, more Walgreens there. All right, so I do go on. T-Jack said, can they really bar Trump from election if convicted? I believe the answer is no. I believe the answer to that is no, that is not a provision that would prevent in the Constitution or in the law that would prevent Donald Trump from being elected to the presidency, reelected to the presidency. The Democrats have elected people that have been convicted criminals, including Marion Barry. We used to call him Mayor for Life, who was mayor of Washington, D.C. I met him several times, too, and had drinks with him. But unlike Hunter Biden, I never smoked crack with him. Hunter Biden bragged about smoking crack with Marion Barry. I can say I never smoked crack with Marion Barry, but I did have a beer or two with him at Nathan's in Georgetown. That's not important now. But Hunter Biden bragged about smoking crack with Marion Barry. That was in Georgetown, too, next door to the Guards, a bar that's no longer there. But can they really keep... And who else? They had the Democrats had a New Jersey congressman that went... Oh, and Marion Barry went to prison for smoking crack on FBI videotape, and it was FBI crack, and FBI brought in Rashida Moore. GDB set him up, and that was true enough. But he went to prison, and when he got out of prison, he was elected to the city council again and again. So, and the Democrats, I'm trying to remember who it was in New Jersey that went to prison, and then the Democrats elected him again, convicted felon. So I don't believe that, maybe that just applies to Democrats who are convicted felons. Hard to say. T-Bone says, hi, Chris. In 2012, the DNC removed God from their political platform. It's now obvious that they've lost all concept of right, wrong, morals, decency, and respect. Do you think that one day they'll see the error of their ways or continue to be the most destructive force in America? Well, T-Bone, I think that the answer is B. The answer is B, because they're the left. And now that they're the left, they will never regain a sense of right and wrong, morals, decency, or respect. So sadly, I think it's B, as long as the Democrat Party is what it is today. Mike B. says, hey, Chris, do you think Hock-Toothy Jeffries is a better name for the minority Speaker of the House? That's pretty fun. A number of tricks in that thing there. Do I think, because Hakeem Jeffries, his mentor was his uncle, Professor Leonard Jeffries, a well-known, dedicated anti-Semite. And Hock-Toothy Jeffries, that's Hakeem Jeffries, better name for him. Do you think that's a better name, Hock-Toothy Jeffries, the minority Speaker of the House? And because he's the minority leader in the House right now. And if things really go south, then this guy, who's a radical and extremist, will become the Speaker of the House. That would be really bad. Now, do I think Hock-Toothy Jeffries is a better name? Sure, of course I do. Hock-Toothy Jeffries for Hakeem. You know, Hakeem is his Islamist name because his parents, don't like Western civilization or didn't like Western civilization. So they named him Hakeem. And Hock-Toothy is pretty good. He is a little Hock-Toothy if you look at him. Yeah, I'm going, Mike B, I'm going with Hock-Toothy is better. For the minority Speaker of the House, the minority leader. the minority party. They love being the minority. That way they can be victims. There is no status more exalted than that of victim for the American leftists, people that we call Democrats.
There's only one Chris Plant. The Chris Plant Show.
Our Democrat Party, Byron York's piece. He's the one that flagged the New York Times reporter, too. Byron York's piece, the headline is, "Whatever they can get him for is fine with me." Whatever they can get him for is fine with me. The Democrats don't care. They're just a lynch mob. They were a lynch mob in 1861 and in 1865. They're a lynch mob today. They were a lynch mob in 1965. They were the ones with the fire hoses and the attack dogs. They were the ones throwing Martin Luther King Jr. in jail. And today, they're no different than they were then. They're not on our side. I don't know how many times do I have to say it, Jeff? How many times? Slap in the back of my hand. How many times do I have to say it? They are not on our side. This is not a Democratic Party. This is a left-wing party. They don't share American values. They don't treasure our Bill of Rights and our Constitution. They would shred it like that. And they're pretty much in the process of doing that. And trying to lynch the president, the former and perhaps future president of the United States for political reasons is right up their alley. We should not be surprised at all. And I know most of you are not. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris today setting out to secure the black vote. It's the Black Vote Initiative going to Philadelphia. They're going to give a speech. And I don't know if you've heard this, but Kamala Harris is a woman of color. And therefore, she's going to stand next to Joe and she'll cackle and she'll screw things up and Joe will screw things up and the media will smooth it over for them because the media is the most corrupt institution in the United States of America. But there it is. Biden returns to Philadelphia this time to win back black voters, is the CNN headline. To win back black voters. Well, on the television this morning, there was a young African-American man from Philadelphia, and he was asked about Biden's visit and about Trump, and I have him coming up for you. That's coming up in our third and final hour. Remarkable things going on in this country. And I will give you the latest out of New York City as well.